The massive alien ship appeared over New York City on a quiet Sunday morning. Its dark metal hull stretched for miles across the sky, blocking out the sun and casting an ominous shadow over the bustling metropolis below. The world held its breath, waiting for what would come next. Captain James Walker stood at attention in the United Nations Emergency Council chamber, his worn military uniform a stark contrast to the sleek, metallic suits of the alien visitors. As Earth's top military advisor, he had earned his place in this historic meeting, though he wished it was under better circumstances. The alien who called himself High Commander Vex towered over the human delegates. His silver skin gleamed under the chamber lights as he stepped forward to address the council. "We, the valiant ones, have come to offer your species protection," he announced, his translator converting his clicking sounds into perfect English. "We have observed your civilization and find it quaint." Walker's jaw tightened at the obvious condescension in the alien's tone. He watched as Vex activated a holographic display, showing images of Earth's military forces. "Your weapons are primitive," Vex continued, pointing to images of tanks, fighter jets, and missile systems. "You still rely on explosive chemical propellants and crude nuclear devices, such barbaric tools." He shook his head in what appeared to be amusement. "In comparison, observe our capabilities." With a wave of his hand, Vex projected another image. This time, it showed one of their smaller ships effortlessly destroying a mountain with a beam of pure energy. The council members gasped, but Walker noticed something they didn't: the slight delay between the weapon's activation and impact. "We offer you a simple choice," Vex declared. "Accept our protection, submit to our guidance, and we will share some of our advanced technology with you. Refuse, and we will be forced to protect you from yourselves." Admiral Thomas Grant, Earth's Defense Force commander, stood up. "And if we need time to consider your generous offer." His voice carried a diplomatic calm that Walker knew was entirely fake. "You have 48 Earth hours to make your decision," Vex replied. "We are not unreasonable. We understand such choices require deliberation." As the meeting continued, Walker quietly observed the aliens' movements, their technology, and most importantly, their attitudes. Every gesture, every word from the valiant ones dripped with superiority and contempt. They truly believed humans were nothing more than primitives playing with dangerous toys. After the aliens departed, Walker remained in the chamber with Admiral Grant and Dr. Emma Russell, Earth's leading weapons researcher. The three of them shared knowing looks. "Did you see it?" Dr. Russell asked, her eyes bright with excitement. "The energy weapons signature." Walker nodded. "The delay in the mountain test. Their weapons are powerful, but they're not instantaneous." "And did you notice their reaction when we mentioned our nuclear arsenal?" Admiral Grant added. "They dismissed it too quickly, almost nervously." "They're overconfident," Walker said, walking to the window to watch the alien ship hovering in the distance. "They think because their technology is more advanced, they're invincible. That's going to be their first mistake." Dr. Russell pulled out her tablet, already working on calculations. "Their arrogance blinds them to the effectiveness of what they call primitive weapons. Physics doesn't care how advanced you think you are. Kinetic energy is still kinetic energy." Admiral Grant's phone buzzed with messages from military commands worldwide. "All armed forces are on high alert, but maintaining apparent normalcy. If they're watching us, let them think we're scared and confused." Walker turned from the window, his expression determined. "Let them underestimate us. Let them mock our weapons and laugh at our technology. They don't realize that humanity didn't survive this long by being weak." As the sun set behind the alien ship, Earth's defenders began their preparations. The valiant ones had made a critical error. They had judged humanity's weapons without understanding humanity itself. They would soon learn that sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't the most advanced one, but the one your enemy doesn't think is a threat at all. The world's leaders gathered in an underground bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Giant screens showed the alien ships still hovering over major cities worldwide. Time was running out. Only 18 hours remained until the valiant ones demanded their answer. Dr. Emma Russell stood before the gathered officials, her presentation ready. The aliens made a show of their power yesterday, she began, clicking to her first slide. But they also showed us their weaknesses. The room fell silent as she played a slowed-down video of the alien weapon test. Notice the delay between firing and impact. Their energy weapons have to pass through their own shields first. This creates a measurable gap in their defenses. Captain Walker stepped forward. We've been watching them closely. Every 4 hours, their ships adjust position. During these movements, their shield patterns change for exactly 3.2 seconds. A weakness? Asked the Chinese military commander. Better, Dr. Russell replied with a slight smile. An opportunity. Above ground, the valiant ones continued their display of power. 3 smaller ships performed aerial maneuvers over Washington, D.C., their hulls glowing with strange lights. People watched from below, many recording videos on their phones. But they didn't see what Walker saw, the careful way the ships avoided flying through their own energy trails. In her lab, Dr. Russell worked frantically with her team. Scattered across her desk were calculations and readings from the alien shields. It's like they never considered physical projectiles a threat, she muttered, circling a particular equation. Their shields are tuned for energy weapons, not solid matter. Admiral Grant coordinated with military commands worldwide through secure, old-fashioned radio channels. The aliens might be monitoring digital communications, but they dismissed radio as outdated technology. Their mistake. Keep all nuclear forces on apparent standard alert, he ordered. Let them think we're not mobilizing. Lieutenant Stone, show them what we prepared. Lieutenant Mark Stone led a public display of Earth's conventional forces standing down. Tanks rolled back to their bases. Aircraft returned to hangars. To any watching aliens, Earth's military appeared to be accepting its fate. Underground, it was a different story. Walker studied the latest intelligence reports. Their arrogance is growing. They've stopped scanning for ground movements completely. They think we're beaten. Dr. Russell burst into the command center, clutching a tablet. I've got it, she exclaimed. Their shield frequency. It has a harmonic resonance with standard gunpowder explosions. They're so focused on energy weapons, they never thought to defend against basic chemical reactions. The news spread quickly through secure channels. Around the world, military forces began quietly modifying their primitive weapons. High Commander Vex requested another meeting, this time to demonstrate more of their power. The aliens had set up targets in the Nevada desert, old tanks and aircraft they planned to destroy. Observe, Vex announced to the gathered human leaders, the futility of resistance. The alien ship fired its energy weapon at the first tank. The beam completely vaporized it, leaving nothing but scorched earth. Vex turned to the humans, expecting to see fear. Instead, he saw Walker smiling. Impressive, Walker said calmly. Would you care to see one of our demonstrations? Vex laughed, the sound harsh through his translator. Your weapons cannot harm us. But please, amuse us with your primitive display. Dr. Russell, watching from the command center, whispered into her radio. They took the bait. As the aliens continued to gloat, Earth's forces made their final preparations. The valiant ones were so convinced of their superiority that they didn't notice the slight changes in Earth's military positions. They didn't see the modified weapons being moved into place. And most importantly, they didn't realize that every demonstration of their power had given Earth exactly the data it needed. Walker checked his watch, 10 hours until the deadline. But Earth wouldn't be waiting that long. As the sun set over the Nevada desert, he sent a single text message to Admiral Grant. They've shown us everything we need to know. Operation Humble is ready. The valiant ones were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating primitive weapons. The Nevada sun had barely risen when the valiant ones made their first mistake. Tired of waiting for Earth's surrender, they decided to attack the primitive military base where their weapons demonstration had taken place the day before. 3 alien ships descended from the clouds, their energy weapons charging with a high-pitched whine. High Commander Vex's voice boomed across the desert. "Let this be a lesson to all who defy the valiant ones." But the base wasn't as defenseless as it appeared. Captain Walker stood in the underground command center, watching multiple screens showing the approaching alien ships. "All units in position?" he asked, his voice steady. "Ready, sir," Lieutenant Stone replied. "Modified weapons are in place. Dr. Russell's calculations are locked in." Walker picked up the radio. "Remember, people, basic physics doesn't care how advanced they think they are. Execute Operation Humble." The aliens fired their first shot. A brilliant beam of energy streaked toward the base's main building. Their sensors showed no resistance, no advanced shields, just what they expected from primitive humans. They weren't prepared for what happened next. The moment the alien ships got into position, hidden doors in the desert floor slid open. Old M1 Abrams tanks, modified with Dr. Russell's new targeting systems, rolled out. Their outdated guns had been loaded with special shells designed to match the exact frequency of the alien shields. "Fire," Walker ordered. The tanks fired in perfect synchronization. The aliens, so focused on their energy weapons, didn't even try to dodge. Why should they fear primitive ballistic weapons? The shells struck their shields at precisely the right frequency. Instead of bouncing off, they passed straight through, slamming into the alien ships' hulls. The explosions weren't massive, but they didn't need to be. They just needed to prove something. Alien ships could bleed. Impossible. Vex's voice crackled over the intercepted communications. "Their weapons are just chemical explosives." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Second wave. Commence attack." Hidden artillery positions around the base opened fire. These weren't modern guided missiles or energy weapons. They were simple howitzers, the kind the aliens had laughed at. But each shell had been carefully modified based on Dr. Russell's research. The alien ships tried to maintain formation, but they'd never trained for this. Their shields, designed to stop energy weapons, couldn't handle the barrage of precisely tuned kinetic impacts. One ship started smoking from multiple hits. "Their shields are adapting." Dr. Russell's voice came through the radio. Switching to Pattern B. The human forces smoothly changed their attack. Artillery shells with different frequencies started landing. Just as the aliens adjusted their shields to stop one type of attack, another would break through. One of the alien ships lost control, its engines sputtering. It crashed into the desert floor, kicking up a massive cloud of sand. The others tried to retreat, but they'd flown too low, too confident in their superiority. "Launch the modified Stingers," Walker commanded. Soldiers emerged from camouflaged positions, carrying what looked like ordinary shoulder-launched missiles. The aliens had seen these in their research, simple heat-seeking rockets from the late 20th century. Not worth worrying about. They were wrong. The missiles streaked upward, their thrust patterns irregular to match the alien shield frequencies. 2 more ships took direct hits. One exploded in midair, while another spun out of control before making an emergency landing. High Commander Vex's voice sounded panicked now. "Full retreat. Return to the carrier." The remaining alien ships fled upward, their formation broken, their pride shattered. On the ground, human forces were already moving to secure the crashed ships and their valuable technology. Walker picked up his phone to call Admiral Grant. "Sir, Operation Humble was a success. 3 enemy ships down, no human casualties." "Excellent work," Grant replied. Dr. Russell's calculations. Perfect. Their shields never stood a chance against properly tuned conventional weapons. Walker looked at the burning wreckage of the alien ship. They thought technology had to be new to be dangerous. "Send them a message," Grant ordered. "Let's make sure they understand." Walker typed out a simple transmission. "To the valiant ones. Yesterday you mocked our weapons. Today you learned why humanity never abandoned them. Would you like another demonstration? For the first time since their arrival, the aliens were silent. 3 days after the Nevada battle, Dr. Emma Russell stood in a massive underground facility, surrounded by captured alien technology and Earth's primitive weapons. The air smelled of metal and gunpowder as teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock. "Look at this," she said to Captain Walker, pointing at the damaged alien shield generator they'd recovered. They'd made their technology so complex that they forgot the basics of physics. Our simple gunpowder weapons actually work better against their shields than their own energy weapons. Walker picked up one of the modified rifles from the testing table. The weapon looked almost normal, except for the strange devices attached to its barrel. "How many of these can we make?" "We've already sent the designs to factories worldwide," Dr. Russell replied. "The best part? We're using old World War II production lines. The aliens don't even bother scanning them because they think they're too outdated to matter." Above them, on the main screen, footage showed the Valiant One's ships regrouping in orbit. They hadn't attacked since losing 3 ships in Nevada, but everyone knew they would strike again. Lieutenant Stone rushed into the lab, holding a tablet. "Sir, you need to see this. We cracked more of their communication codes. They're planning a major attack on multiple cities." Walker studied the data. "They think they figured out how we beat them. They're modifying their shields." He looked at Dr. Russell. "Will our weapons still work?" She smiled. "That's the beautiful thing about simple physics, Captain. They can make their shields 1,000,000 times more complex, but they can't break the basic laws of nature." She walked over to a workbench covered in different types of ammunition. "While they're adding layers of energy fields, we're just changing the powder mix in our shells." The intercom crackled. Admiral Grant's voice filled the room. "They're moving. Multiple ships descending over major cities." Walker grabbed his radio. "All units, execute Operation Checkmate. Remember your training. Keep it simple. Keep it strong." Around the world, humanity's forces put their new weapons into action. In Tokyo, old Type 99 rifles, modified with Dr. Russell's frequency modulators, fired shells that punched straight through alien shields. In London, World War II-era anti-aircraft guns, restored and upgraded, knocked alien fighters from the sky. The Valiant Ones hadn't expected this. Their advanced sensors looked for energy weapons, complex electronics, and radiation signatures. They weren't designed to detect the simple chemical reactions of gunpowder or the basic physics of kinetic impacts. In the lab, Dr. Russell monitored the battles through multiple screens. "See how they keep changing their shield frequencies." She pointed to the data streams. "But they can only change so fast. Our old weapons are actually faster because they're simpler." Walker watched as another alien ship fell, this one brought down by modified mortars in Brazil. They're learning the hard way that newer isn't always better. The battle raged for hours. The aliens had superior numbers and technology, but every time they adapted their defenses, humanity's primitive weapons found another way through. It was like trying to build a perfect wall against a river. The water always found a way through. "Sir," Lieutenant Stone called out, "look at their formation changes. They're starting to copy our tactics." Walker nodded. "But they're using them wrong. They don't understand that our strength isn't just in the weapons. It's in how we think, how we adapt." Dr. Russell's computer beeped with new data. "Captain, I've finished analyzing their ship that crashed in Nevada. We can do more than just fight them. We can combine their technology with ours. Imagine their energy weapons powered by our primitive explosives." The main screen showed another alien ship crashing into the ocean after being hit by modified naval guns. The Valiant Ones were learning a costly lesson. Technology wasn't everything. Sometimes the old ways, the simple ways, were the best ways. Walker looked at the prototype hybrid weapon Dr. Russell's team had built, a combination of alien energy systems and human mechanical engineering. "How long until this is ready for field testing?" 24 hours, she replied. "And the best part? They'll never see it coming. They're so focused on defending against what they think we have, they won't expect us to use their own technology against them. The war was far from over, but for the first time, the aliens were the ones playing catch-up. Humanity had found its edge, not in superior technology, but in the clever use of what they already had. The full moon lit up the night sky as Captain Walker led his team through the dense forest. They carried no modern equipment, no night vision goggles, no radio communications, no electronic devices at all. Instead, they used compasses, paper maps, and hand signals. The aliens won't expect this, Walker whispered to Lieutenant Stone as they approached the crashed alien ship that had been carefully hidden by Earth's forces. They're looking for electronic signatures and energy readings. They won't be scanning for people moving through the woods with basic tools. Operation Trojan Horse was underway. Back at the command center, Dr. Russell watched through old-fashioned binoculars from her hidden position. Her latest invention sat ready, a device that combined alien technology with Earth's simplest weapons. But that wasn't the real trick. Status report. Admiral Grant's voice came through a mechanical radio set that used no electronic parts. The aliens are watching exactly where we want them to, Dr. Russell replied. They focused all their scanning equipment on our active military bases. They haven't even noticed Walker's team. The plan was beautifully simple. While the aliens watched Earth's modern military facilities, expecting another high-tech attack, Walker's team would sneak aboard their command ship using only basic tools and weapons. High above, the alien command ship hovered, its crew confident in their superior scanning technology. They hadn't bothered to post physical guards. Why would they? Their sensors could detect any modern human weapon or device from miles away. Walker's team reached the crash site. They wore simple clothing treated with special mud that Dr. Russell had created. It matched the heat signature of the surrounding forest perfectly. The aliens' thermal scanners saw nothing unusual. Remember, Walker told his team, once we're inside their ship, we use only mechanical weapons, nothing electronic. He held up his modified crossbow, loaded with arrows tipped with a special chemical mixture. They climbed into the crashed ship through a hole in its hull. Dr. Russell had spent weeks studying the vessel's layout. Thanks to her work, they knew exactly where to go. The team moved silently through the dark corridors. When they encountered locked doors, they didn't use electronic hacking tools. Instead, they used simple chemical compounds that reacted with the alien metal, melting through locks silently. Look at their security, Lieutenant Stone whispered, pointing at the complex electronic scanning equipment lining the walls. All this technology, but they never thought someone would just walk in. Walker smiled. The aliens had built their defenses assuming humans would try to use advanced technology to break in. They hadn't prepared for people using methods from hundreds of years ago. High Commander Vex's voice boomed through the ship's communication system. Report any unusual energy signatures immediately. The humans must be planning something. But Walker's team created no energy signatures. Their weapons were powered by springs and chemicals. Their tools were made of wood and steel. To the aliens' advanced sensors, they were practically invisible. They reached the ship's power core. Dr. Russell had discovered that despite all their advanced technology, the aliens still needed to vent excess heat from their engines. It was a basic law of physics they couldn't escape. Walker pulled out several small glass vials filled with a dark liquid. Another of Dr. Russell's inventions, a mixture that would react with the alien coolant system. Simple chemistry, but devastating results. Plant the vials according to the plan, he ordered. When they break, the reaction will overload their systems. The team worked quickly, placing the vials at crucial points. They weren't using bombs or complicated sabotage equipment, just precisely placed chemicals that would trigger a chain reaction. As they retreated, Walker sent up a simple flare, the signal for Phase 2 to begin. Across the globe, Earth's forces launched an attack on empty alien bases, drawing their attention and resources. The aliens never noticed the real threat until it was too late. Their sensors were busy tracking missiles and energy weapons, while simple chemistry did its work inside their command ship. Operation Trojan Horse complete, Walker reported through his mechanical radio once his team was clear. Time to show them that sometimes the oldest tricks work the best. Above them, alarms began to sound on the alien command ship. They were about to learn that focusing only on advanced technology had left them blind to humanity's greatest weapon: creativity. Alarms screamed through the alien command ship as Walker's chemical mixture began its work. The simple reaction spread through their cooling systems, causing precisely the chaos Dr. Russell had predicted. All ships, protect the command vessel. High Commander Vex's panicked voice echoed through intercepted communications. The humans couldn't have done this. Our sensors detected no advanced weapons. But the valiant ones had bigger problems. Admiral Grant had waited for this exact moment to launch humanity's biggest attack yet. All forces, commence Operation Checkmate, he ordered through the old-style radio network. Show them what Earth's primitive weapons can really do. Around the world, humanity's forces sprang into action. But this time, they had some new tricks ready. Dr. Russell stood in the command center, watching multiple screens. "The hybrid weapons are ready, sir," she reported. "They won't expect us to be using their own technology against them." The first wave began. In the Pacific Ocean, old battleships, restored and modified, fired shells that combined human gunpowder with alien energy crystals. The projectiles passed straight through the alien shields, their simple kinetic force amplified by alien tech. "Impossible," Vex shouted over the communications. "They've weaponized our own technology." Walker, now safely back at base, smiled as he watched the battle unfold. "Sometimes the best way forward is to look backward," he said to Lieutenant Stone. "They gave us all their weaknesses when they showed us their strengths." The alien fleet tried to regroup, but they faced attacks from weapons they couldn't understand. Ancient catapults, modified with alien power sources, launched projectiles that their sensors couldn't track. World War II artillery pieces, enhanced with captured technology, fired shells that curved around their defensive screens. In orbit, their mighty command ships struggled as the chemical reaction spread. Their advanced cooling systems, designed to handle energy weapons and radiation, had no defense against basic chemistry. "Their shields are failing," Dr. Russell announced, pointing to her readings. "The reaction is working exactly as planned. Their own power systems are working against them." Admiral Grant gave the order they'd all been waiting for: launch Operation Final Strike. Across Earth, humanity's forces unveiled their ultimate weapons. They weren't sleek or advanced-looking. Instead, they were a perfect blend of old and new, simple and complex. Modified B-52 bombers, planes the aliens had dismissed as obsolete, dropped special bombs that combined conventional explosives with alien power cores. Cavalry units, riding in vehicles designed to look like simple trucks, deployed weapons that used alien energy focused through ordinary glass lenses. The valiant ones tried to adapt, but they couldn't keep up. Their complex shield systems, designed to counter energy weapons, failed against attacks that used basic physics in unexpected ways. "Their command ship is falling," Lieutenant Stone shouted, pointing at the main screen. The massive alien vessel, its cooling systems completely destroyed by Walker's chemical attack, began dropping from orbit. Its emergency systems, overwhelmed by the simple but effective sabotage, couldn't maintain its position. "All ships, retreat," Vex ordered, his voice shaking. "These primitives, they've done the impossible." But retreat wasn't an option. Earth's forces had surrounded their fleet with a web of simple but deadly weapons. Every escape route was covered by modified human weapons that their sensors couldn't properly detect. "Send the message," Admiral Grant ordered. Walker picked up the radio microphone. "High Commander Vex, this is Captain Walker. Your shields are down. Your command ship is crippled. Your fleet is surrounded. Do you still think our weapons are primitive?" The silence that followed spoke volumes. Finally, Vex's voice came through. Different now, no longer arrogant, but filled with disbelief. "How?" he asked. "How did you defeat our advanced technology?" Dr. Russell took the microphone. "By remembering that newer isn't always better. You were so focused on advancement that you forgot the basics. Sometimes, the simple solution is the best solution." As the alien command ship slowly descended, forced to land by Earth's forces, humanity had proved a crucial point. True strength lies not in having the most advanced weapons, but in knowing how to use every tool at your disposal. The war's end was in sight, and the valiant ones had learned a costly lesson about underestimating primitive weapons. The sunrise painted the sky orange as High Commander Vex walked down the ramp of his crashed command ship. His silver skin had lost its shine, and his proud stance was gone. Captain Walker, Dr. Russell, and Admiral Grant waited for him at the bottom, standing on the same Nevada desert where the first battle had taken place. "We accept your terms of surrender," Vex said, his translator making his voice sound tired. "Never in our history has any species defeated the valiant ones. How did primitives with chemical weapons overcome our advanced technology?" Walker picked up an old rifle from a nearby table. Next to it lay one of the aliens' energy weapons. "This rifle," he said, "was designed over 100 years ago. Simple, reliable, basic physics. Your weapons are impressive, but you forgot that newer isn't always better." Dr. Russell stepped forward, holding up one of her hybrid devices. "The moment you showed us your technology, you gave us everything we needed. You were so proud of your advancement that you didn't notice we were learning from your mistakes." Around them, Earth's forces secured the remaining alien ships. The valiant one's mighty fleet, which had arrived with such arrogance, now stood silent and defeated. Their crews watched in disbelief as human soldiers used simple tools to disable their advanced weapons. "Your museums," Admiral Grant said to Vex, "they'll display our primitive weapons now, won't they? But not as jokes. As reminders." Vex nodded slowly. "Yes, we will remember this lesson. These weapons," he gestured at the human arsenal, "they will be shown with respect. The valiant ones have much to learn about true advancement." 1 month later, Walker stood in the New Earth Defense Museum. Glass cases displayed the weapons that had won the war. Old rifles modified with alien technology, simple chemical mixtures that had brought down mighty ships, and basic tools that had snuck past advanced sensors. "The school groups will be arriving soon," Dr. Russell said, joining him. "First day the museum is open to the public. Children should know how Earth won its greatest victory." Walker smiled as he watched a worker hang a sign above the main exhibit. It read, "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways." "Any word from the valiant ones?" he asked. "They're keeping their promise," Dr. Russell replied. "They're sharing their technology with us, but more importantly, they're learning from us. Their scientists are studying our primitive weapons, trying to understand how they overlooked such simple but effective solutions." Lieutenant Stone rushed in, excitement on his face. "Sir, you need to see this. The alien ambassadors just arrived for the peace ceremony. They're wearing ceremonial swords, actual metal blades. They say they're honoring Earth's appreciation of traditional weapons." Walker laughed. "Looks like they really did learn their lesson." Admiral Grant joined them, holding a tablet showing images from around the world. Earth's nations were rebuilding, combining the best of alien technology with human innovation. But they weren't abandoning their old weapons or ways. "The valiant ones have requested that we teach their military about what they call basic warfare," Grant said. "They want to learn how to fight without relying only on advanced technology." "Never thought I'd see the day." Dr. Russell touched one of the glass cases, where her chemical mixture vials sat next to pieces of the alien command ship's cooling system. "The greatest victory wasn't defeating them," she said. "It was showing them that progress doesn't mean forgetting the past." As the first school group entered the museum, Walker heard a young child ask, "Is it true they laughed at our weapons?" The tour guide smiled and answered, Yes, but they're not laughing anymore. They learned what humanity has always known. It's not about having the best technology. It's about using what you have wisely. Outside the museum, an alien ship flew past, its hull bearing new markings, a combination of their energy symbols and classic human military insignias. The valiant ones had arrived as conquerors, mocking humanity's weapons. They left as allies, having learned a priceless lesson about respect, innovation, and the danger of underestimating those they considered primitive. In the end, the weapons they had mocked became the very things they now studied, proving that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most powerful ones of all.